Hi everybody, this is Cheryl, and I've been busy working on a gift, and so I haven't really had a chance to do any more videos, but my daughter, who is learning how to knit, has run into a problem that I think I need to share with you all. It's how to take care of your yarn. Yarn is very durable, especially when it's made into a project. And you know, you want to take care of your yarn, but you don't want to baby it. I mean, you know, it's pretty durable. However, there are some problems that come with the way you store your yarn. First of all, you always want to keep your yarn in a clean, dry place. You don't want your yarn to get wet or have anything spilled on it. We keep our yarn in a big plastic tub. But when you store your yarn, how you store it is important. You don't want to store it tight together. You want to keep it, you know, where it's loose. Because when you put pressure on the yarn, it actually flattens the fibers. So you want to make sure that if your project's going to look right, that it stays that nice fluffy type of, you know, yarn. You don't want it flat. Okay, so I want to talk about this because my daughter was having a problem with, here it is, with a sweater that she is working on. And she had to take it out several times and start over. That's fine. You can take your project out. I've taken projects out before, and I've smashed them and started over many times. The problem was that she ran into was she was wrapping her yarn, and it was the way she was wrapping it, it actually began to fray and twist. And when you twist yarn, it does begin to fray. And let me see if I gotta take my glasses off because I can't see very well with them sometimes. If you look, let's see if I can hold that up to see, you see how that's starting to fray? And when you knit or crochet with yarn that's frayed like that, your project's not going to look as nice. It's not gonna have the proper look to it. She actually ended up cutting this off because it's just not as usable. So I'm going to show you some ways that you can care for your yarn so that it doesn't end up like this. Okay, now first of all, she had taken her yarn. This was the yarn she was using. And she had taken it, and when she took it out, she began wrapping it around her fingers from the end. And then trying to work backwards, you know, using it. And what happened was it actually twisted the yarn. So I wanted to show you that when you do take a project out, it is perfectly fine to ball it. The problem with balling it, like this here, is something that you really shouldn't do. Putting a full skein into a ball like this, the first part of it's going to be fine, but when you get to the center of this, that yarn's going to be flattened. So you really don't want to do that. Now when we get to the end of a project and we have a little bit of yarn, we do ball them up and we store them into a container like this. You know, these I use for all kinds of things. I make scrappy gans out of them. I make balls like hacky sacks and stuff out of them. They're good for all kinds of things. We use them for swatches, all kinds of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with balling up a small amount of yarn. But when you have a big ball like this, it will flatten out your yarn and it will cause fibers. Now she's going to be using this pretty quickly, so I'm not overly concerned about it. Also, the type of yarn that you ball up will make a difference. This is regular 4-ply. Wrapping it loosely like this is perfectly fine. Wrapping it around your fingers and pinning it to the side is perfectly fine. You know, because this is going to be used. And she actually has an oatmeal box. Let me see your oatmeal box. Just a regular oatmeal box that she's going to put this down in. And so all she has to do when she starts using this again is just pull it from this end.
Perfectly inside like this.
Yeah.
And you can just pull it straight.
And it'll just pull straight out. So that's not an issue at all. But you want to make sure that you keep it loose. You don't want to wrap it tight.
Or else it will flatten.
It will flatten. So here you go, sis. Now,
and it's also a good way of keeping your yarn clean as well.
Yeah, keeping it in a container like that does help it keep it clean, but it also helps with...
Containers like this too.
Yeah, it'll also keep it from flopping around all over the floor, you know. And so you want to make sure that you keep it in some kind of container where it's not going to be flopping around all over the place, but how you wrap it is also important. A big bowl like this, you definitely want to put it inside something because it's going to roll around. Some good things besides oatmeal boxes is I have used... oh my goodness, I've used soda bottles, 2-liter soda bottles. I have used, you know, the plastic or the tin cans that you get popcorn in at Christmas time. Those are perfect for storing.
She loves using baskets too.
Baskets, anything that will contain your yarn. Okay. Now, this is a specialty baby yarn. Now, I don't know if you can see this. This is a special kind of baby yarn. It's fuzzy. Now, you can also get the feathery ones and the ones with the little pom-poms on it and all kinds. Do not ball these because these will ring when you ball them up. They will flatten. They will not look right. Do not ball them up. I actually have some of this that I used. It's made like this on purpose, and I had some that was black and gray and white that I used for a cloak. Now, I had used it previously in a project, and I didn't care for the project, so I took it out. Well, I didn't ball this. What I did was I took a popcorn tin from Christmas time that you get popcorn in, and I actually unraveled my project, and I just let it fall into that can as it was, and just let it lay in there loose. And then I used it for a cloak, and it looked just the same as just like it was supposed to. Don't ever wrap specialty yarn like this in a ball.
Could you do the same with 4-ply yarn?
4-ply yarn you can do the same thing with. You can just drop it down into a container. These plastic containers like this are perfect for that. I've done it in these before. Any kind of a container that you can drop it down into. I have taken out projects where I started a project and just didn't like it and decided, you know what, I'm just going to take this out and redo it. And I've just taken it out and just let the yarn fall into a container. Now, one of the other thing I wanted to tell you about is no piece of yarn is too small. I have here a little container of end pieces, and these are just little short end pieces. Save these because there's other projects you can do with these. For one thing, you can use short strands like this for markers, which I'll explain later on as we get into more projects. Also, you can use them for another project I'll show you of wrapping this around and gluing it to a container to make a decorated container. We'll do more of that stuff later. But I also tie together links like this, and then just use them for scrappy gans or for, like I said, hacky sacks, things like that. I'm actually working on, get my Afghan, I'm making a pillow, and it's using scraps of yarn. It's actually an Afghan stitch project.
So it has.
I've been doing this, been working on this for quite a few years. It's just scraps of yarn, but you can do something like this to where you just use scraps. And if you look here, let's see, let me get to a part here. This part here is actually like probably 3 or 4 different balls of yarn. That's just leftover yarns. Here's another section of they're just leftover ends of yarn, and I've just tied them together, and I'll get into this. I've just tied them together and just kept going with it, you know, and I have all these, and I'll show you how to take care of all that later on down the road. But yeah, I mean, any yarn, you can use it for other projects. So no amount of yarn is too small. You can use it for something. I'll show you down the road how to do different things like that. But the storage of your yarn and how you care for your yarn is very important. And I will show you later on down the road how to ball up yarn to make those small balls. All right, so I know with you learning how to crochet at this moment that you may have to take it out and redo it, and you know, so don't be afraid to take it out and redo it. Just be real careful of how you wrap your yarn when you do take it out. Take it and wrap it around here rather than trying to ball it up, because it's gonna flatten your yarn. All right, well, you all have a good day, and I will get to you as soon as I can on your next stitch. You all have a great day.